Only by working together can we bring about lasting change for the generations to come. Over the last 9 months, the pandemic has been a worrying time for us all. We've experienced isolation, loss, and uncertainty. But in the midst of this crisis, we've also seen huge acts of kindness, generosity, and empathy. The pandemic has reminded us just how much we value.
No matter how different we are, and no matter where we come from, in times of crisis, we all come together. Even a few years back, when the world was going through an actual pandemic, things got better because people showed empathy towards each other. We saw kindness everywhere, and people actually united for one cause. We need to build strong connections with each other. We need to learn to be kind to others, and only then will we be kind to ourselves. But kindness and this connection with our fellow beings don't just come right away. We need to nurture it from the very beginning, from childhood, because that's when the kids learn all these things. Most problems like addiction and mental health issues are usually caused by people with abnormal childhood experiences. So having exposure to kindness and companionship from the very beginning can actually make things right and make people better. We don't really learn a lot when we see ourselves as individuals. We learn when we, as a society, try to be better and support each other. According to research, a person's early years have the most impact on their life. So if you really want to make society better, you need to get the best early years to the children, where they learn empathy, kindness, and above all, unity. And we're actually more similar than we know as we go through the same experiences every single day, and we're driven by similar causes. So it wouldn't be wrong to say that our few differences make us humans, but other than that, we all are much more similar than we know.
Living in a world where people care for one another, and the importance of feeling connected to the people around us. And it's these connections, these relationships, that are founded in the earliest years of our lives. People often ask why I care so passionately about the early years. Many mistakenly believe that my interest stems from having children of my own, and while of course I care hugely about their start in life, this ultimately sells the issue short. Parenthood isn't a prerequisite for understanding the importance of the early years. If we only expect people to take an interest in the early years when they have children, we are not only too late for them, we are underestimating the huge role others can play in shaping our most formative years too. Over the last decade, I, like many of you, have met people from all walks of life. I've seen that experiences such as homelessness, addiction, and poor mental health are often grounded in a difficult childhood. How positive protective factors in the early years can play a critical role in shaping our futures too. Because the science shows that the early years are more pivotal for future health and happiness than any other period in our lifetime. Because as many as 40% of our children will arrive at school with below the expected levels of development. And because the social cost of late intervention has been estimated to be over £17 billion a year. The early years are therefore not simply just about how we raise our children. They are, in fact, about how we raise the next generation of adults. They are about the society we will become, which is why I wanted to start a society-wide conversation to hear what people across the UK think about the early years too. I was humbled that over 500,000 people responded to the 5 Big Questions survey, showing just how much people wanted to talk about this. We combined these findings with national research and a COVID lockdown survey, and together this represents the UK's biggest ever study on the early years. And the questions they pose will help guide our work in the years to come. Firstly, if parents are struggling to prioritise their own well-being, how can we better support them? Secondly, what is at the root of why parents feel so judged? Thirdly, how can we address parental loneliness, which has dramatically increased during the pandemic, particularly in the most deprived areas? And finally, if less than a quarter of us understand the unique importance of a child's first 5 years, what can we do to make this better known? We must do all we can to tackle these issues and to elevate the importance of the early years. We can build a more nurturing society. Because I believe the early years should be on par with the other great social challenges and opportunities of our time. And next year, we will announce ambitious plans to support this objective. My final message is a thank you. Thank you to all the families and parents and carers for the important work you do every single day in raising our children. And thank you to those of you working to support these families and their children too. What you do takes hard work, commitment, and vision.